Hello, my name is Charlene Kirby, and today I'd like to discuss how the social injustice of solitary confinement contributes to the decline of one's mental status. We will briefly review Mr. Kalief Browder's story because he was an inspiration for me to continue this research. Kalief's story begins as a 16-year-old coming home from a party one Friday evening. He was identified as someone who stole a backpack and was arrested and never received trial. For 3 years, he was in the adult prison of Rikers Island without trial. Kalief spent 1,095 days, or 3 years, at Rikers Island, and 800 of those days he spent in solitary confinement. During his 3 year stay there at Rikers Island with adult males, his hearing was adjourned 30 times before he was released, and all charges were dropped. While incarcerated, Kalief experienced physical and mental abuse from both inmates and correctional officers. Some correctional officers were in cahoots with the prisoners, and anyone that did not go along with joining a gang at Rikers Island was then allowed to be beaten by other prisoners and sometimes even attacked by the correctional officers. During his times in solitary confinement, it is documented that he asked for psychiatric help on several occasions because he did not feel right in his mind. He found himself hallucinating, he found himself talking to himself, and he knew something was wrong, but he was denied proper psychiatric treatment. Kalief attempted suicide on many occasions while he was incarcerated. There was a time recorded on camera where the guards edged him on and told him to jump, kill himself, no one's going to miss him. And then when he jumped, they went in and assaulted him as they cut him down and dragged him off into solitary confinement. 40% of the population in Rikers Island are diagnosed with some type of mental illness, and 1 in 4 people in the U.S. have some type of mental illness. Will you be one of those that help to end this epidemic that shames us all because we turn a blind eye to it? Social isolation or solitary confinement is the virtual absence of interaction with others outside of regular performed basic functions of life. And social isolation leads to psychotic behaviors or neurosis, which is emotional disorders involving symptoms such as insecurity, anxiety, depression, irrational fears. Man was not meant to live alone. Social isolation or solitary confinement will lead to neurotic behaviors and often cause individuals to have suicidal thoughts. Yes, suicide. I said suicide. Did that word catch your attention? The truth is, suicide catches everyone's attention. It's the actions that lead up to the suicide that goes unnoticed by each and every one of us. Suicide is a crime of loneliness. Can we first acknowledge that thoughts lead to actions? And in Journal's theory of suicide, a person may be bombarded with negative thoughts such as, I am alone, I am a burden, I am not afraid to die. And all these thoughts overlapping each other will lead to suicide attempts and sometimes actual suicide. As mentioned before, Kalief Browder's charges were dismissed after they were unable to produce a witness on 30 occasions. He was released home, started community college, was trying to rebuild his life. But he said to his mother, "I cannot take this anymore, Mom." And at the age of 22, he ended his life. He never received the proper psychiatric help that he needed. And the damage that was done to him in Rikers Island was more than he could bear. And I quote Kalief in an interview stating that he feels like demons were with him always.